Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam. This is where I talk about all things sewing. Today is day 5 of my Vlogmas with a Twist series, looking at some ways that you can use your sewing practice to have a more sustainable Christmas. So today being day 5 and I'm going through the alphabet is letter E. So I thought I'd give you a rest from the facts and figures today, and I thought this video might be a good one to share with your friends and family if they're looking for gifts for yourself, or if you've got friends and family that are looking for gifts for you. And moving on from the shocking facts and figures from the first video that I did about Amazon, and the second video about buying and how much gifts that we receive that's stuff that is unwanted, I thought I'd look at E for experience gifts. So a few people have mentioned that they prefer experience gifts to more stuff, and I think personally I've got enough stuff. So I thought I'd just tell you a few things that I've had in the past and maybe give you some ideas for yourself for the future. These aren't all specifically sewing gifts, they are sort of crafts related or fibre related. I think if you're anything like me, you've got interest in other fibre arts as well, so such as knitting and sewing or embroidery or crochet or something like that. So experience gifts aren't just about learning to fly or doing a parachute jump. I mean, they can be a little bit less risque, although I did send my husband on a learn to fly course once. But perhaps attending an event or learning a new skill, it can be life enhancing, and it's something that you've got for life as well, you know what I mean? It's if you can't sew, you're watching this and you can't sew and you want to learn how to sew, there's no better gift really. And it creates great memories as well, especially if you decide to do it with a friend or you know, your daughter or a sibling or something like that. How lovely would that memory be if you decide to do some of these things with family and friends? What's even better about them is that they last for longer than the festive period as well. So, you know, often these events aren't going to be over the Christmas period, so it's something to look forward to in the new year. So there are loads of things that will create memories, such as festivals and exhibitions. Bonus points if you can get them fibre related. My husband for a couple of years sent me to, well, not sent me, we went together, went to a knitting and stitching show in Leipzig in Germany. Absolutely beautiful place, never been to Germany before, and we went 2 years running to that until it got stopped because of you know what. So it was fibre related, it was knitting and stitching. He got an holiday out of it, so that was a bonus. And he came round with the exhibition with me, but I mean, if your partner wants to do something like that and isn't interested, you could always find something sort of that he or they like in the area. But yeah, for that one day we had a week's holiday. Bit expensive, I know it's the top end of people's budgets, but it was a holiday as well and a surprise, so that was really nice. That's also on again this year. Donna at Size Me Sewing has got a fantastic sewing retreat organised next year, July and August next year in France. I think that's for 5 days. It doesn't include the flights or anything like that or your accommodation. It's just you're paying for the actual sewing. But again, you could go with somebody else and tie that onto other parts of France or other parts of Europe if you're not from Europe. So yeah, lovely ideas, but again, pricey. They are the expensive end of gifts are those. So if you want a cheaper option to that, then you can find an event similar in your own country. So for example, I went to the knitting and stitching show in Harrogate. It's also in London, not just Yorkshire, that my son paid for me for my birthday. Obviously that's birthday, not Christmas, but again, it's just something that I'm going to remember for forever, you know, and I've got a video for that if you want to have a look at that. I looked at all the fibre arts, a really interesting day out and something that I'm going to remember. You could tag on a workshop if you wanted to, or you could take along a friend or a family member and do a workshop together, make a weekend of it. You could just go to, I mean, if you're at the Harrogate one, then you could go to Betty's for afternoon tea, have a nice stay in a hotel. Depends on how much the budget of whoever's giving it to you. They're all sort of lovely ideas. Or, you know, if the person that you're going with isn't interested in the knitting and stitching, you could find something for them to do in the area. Send them fishing. My husband's an angler, so I would send him fishing if he came with me. I'm lucky that my son actually lives in Harrogate now, so I went and called to see him for a couple of hours. And then a couple of years ago I asked my son for a pattern drafting book. I was interested in drafting my own patterns, and he bought me the book, and inside was a ticket to a pattern drafting course at Sew Over It in London. Really enjoyed that. It was over the course of a weekend, and at that time he actually lived quite nearby, walking distance, so I didn't have the expense of hotels to add on to my trip. And again, that's a skill that I will have for life. You know, it's something that I will be able to take forward into my sewing practice. And loads of different courses available if that's not your interest, pattern drafting or just something to extend your skills. If you look on Eventbrite, there's loads. My courses are on Eventbrite. I will be having a pattern drafting course actually in the new year. I've just been in touch with someone and we will be having a pattern drafting course in the new year. So look out for that one. And then one year my son actually bought me a course to learn how to crochet. I learned how to knit before I could sew, but I've never been able to crochet, and he signed me up for Beautiful Things course. I can highly recommend that course. She really got me going with the crochet, and it's a really good course. So I think she does knitting as well. If you can't get to a physical course, it's a good idea to do an online one with somebody that really knows how to put together a course. I think, you know, we can find most tutorials on YouTube, and I do them myself, but it's always worth investing in somebody who sort of builds up the skills professionally. Husband treated me to a bra making course again in London. I did that at the new craft house. That was a fantastic little course over the course of a weekend. And again, my son lived in London at the time, so I was able to stay with him. And I think that is something that you need to consider if you're buying a gift for somebody, is the added on expense that can be incurred from that person if you're having to pay for accommodation or travel. So it's something that either you need to include in the gift, or, you know, just do it more local. My friend paid for me to do a rugging course. That was quite local, and that again is something that I'm planning to do in the new year in my studio. And that was lovely because it was just 5 of us in the class, and we all got on really well. It was a really nice experience, and Kim, the teacher, will be coming to my classes I think next year and teaching some classes for macrame and things like that. Loads and loads of fibre related things that you could do that's not sewing, but just expands your interest in that subject. So not fibre related at all, but art. My friends and I were in York last year for a weekend away, and the weather wasn't too great, and we were looking at the Van Gogh exhibition, which is an immersive exhibition. And it was quite close to Christmas, and I just said that as a Christmas treat, I'll pay for us all to go in. It wasn't actually very expensive, but what an afternoon we had there. Really memorable. We all enjoyed it, and, you know, we're still talking about it today, you know, 12 months after the event. So yeah, a good one if you get a chance to see it. And I'm sure there's loads of things like that either in your country or roundabout. There are places other than Yorkshire, I know that. A couple of other ideas I had was events at your local galleries. The V&A have always got something fibre related or fashion related on. I think they've got something on at the moment which is looking at Mrs. Coulter's clothes in his dark materials, and there's a Japanese exhibition there looking at safflower in Japanese art. So there's always something on at the V&A, and there's a V&A down up in Manchester as well. There's one more local to me than the London one. And more local to me, we've got the Hepworth Gallery, and they've always got something fibre related. One that I've got my eye on at the moment is one by Helen Riddle, and that is felted landscapes, and that is looking at using stitch. You take a portrait in, and you try and do that in either stitching or felting, wet felting and needle felting. So that's one that I've got my eye on. Eric, if you're watching. I don't think he'll be watching, but you never know. So let me know what your favourite experience has been. It doesn't have to be sewing related, but it might help somebody in the comments if they're looking for ideas either to put on their own Christmas list or to send to somebody who's looking for a gift. Like I say, it'd be nice to do with a friend, or, you know, a mother and daughter day, or any of the generations really. But it doesn't have to cost you anything. You could just do a skill swap with a friend. If you're really good at sewing and they've always wanted to sew and they're really good at knitting, why not have an afternoon with them and just say, you know, I'll teach you the basics of how to sew, and you can show me how to get started on knitting. Anything like that. It's a lovely cheap way of doing it, and you could make it last through the year. You could arrange one day a month throughout the year and make it last. That's a lovely way to spend an afternoon with your friends. So my final tip, beginning with E, is neither fibre related or Christmas related, but it is sustainable, and that is to swap your search engine to Ecosia. This is something I've been meaning to do for quite a long time, but Ecosia are just a search engine just like Google is. They send 80% of their profits towards planting trees. So far 160 million trees. I said I wasn't going to do facts, didn't I? So far 160 million trees have been planted over 35 countries. So I think that's a fantastic free gift to yourself that you can do. I'm not sponsored for doing this. I just remembered about it again today. So I thought I'd mention it because it began with a letter. You don't sell your details to advertisers either, so that's a bonus. So that's it from me today. Again, let me know what your favourite experience is. Do you use Ecosia? Let me know what your experience is with it. I've just signed up for it today, so I will be using it and maybe letting you know how I've got on. So thank you so much for watching. I will be back later. Bye.